She walked down the aisle toward the throne rather than away from it, vows ringing out in the same hall where she'd once toddled after her nursemaid. Because today's groom was her own father, the Shah of Shahs. Yes, you read that correctly. The Persians even had a pious-sounding word for it. Xwedoda. Next of kin marriage was marketed by Zoroastrian priests as the fastest route to cosmic harmony. Father-daughter, mother-son, brother-sister, all perfectly holy unions in 6th century Sasanian Iran. Christian monks fainted at the thought. The Shah's courtiers mostly calculated their chances of promotion, because apparently regular marriage wasn't complicated enough. Our princess, contemporaries called her Azarm, the respected one, though palace scribes later scratched out her name, didn't get much say. From the moment she was born, court astrologers insisted her birth chart glittered with empire-saving potential. The Shah facing border raids, fickle nobles, and the small matter of 15 other sons who might revolt, decided to keep that good luck in the family, literally. The royal wedding proceeded under lamps of hammered silver. Priests chanted Avestan hymns about divine twins who also just happened to be spouses. Guests raised cups of date wine and tried not to look queasy. At first, life as daughter queen felt like gilded confinement. Azarm mastered statecraft the way other teenagers mastered embroidery, signing tax edicts, settling tribal feuds, memorizing the price of a bronze helm versus an iron one. Still, she asked why the poor paid triple during harvest festivals. An old vizier muttered, "Because they always have." That answer never satisfied her. But wait, it gets weirder. The same priests who praised father-daughter unions thundered hellfire at adultery. Sharing your bloodline was sacred. Sharing your heart elsewhere was treasonous. Court law codes listed punishments escalating from nose-slitting to public beheading, with a grim asterisk. Royal offenders faced whatever penalty preserves the kingdom's dignity. Translation: anything the Shah felt like that morning. Enter Vahram, a cavalry officer with more scars than coins, whose habit of quoting Ferdowsi before breakfast made half the garrison roll their eyes. Azarm met him during an inspection of frontier forts. He bowed. She cracked a joke about his battered cuirass. "Looks like you wrestled a cataphract and lost." He laughed. Nobody laughed at her jokes inside the palace. That was all it took. They exchanged contraband poems tucked inside dispatches. Dry observation. Nothing says doomed romance like love letters hand-delivered by imperial couriers who'd also carry your death warrant if things went south. Of course they did. The affair lasted 3 reckless months. Midnight rendezvous in garden pavilions, dusty rides to Zoroastrian fire temples for devotion, actually for half-hour conversations behind cedar screens. A palace eunuch eventually noticed the princess returning from prayers, smelling suspiciously of horse sweat and juniper. Gossip galloped faster than any cavalry. Here's the part that makes seasoned historians spit out their coffee. The Shah didn't hear about the adultery first. The high priest did, and he panicked. If word spread that a daughter queen strayed, it threatened the theological PR campaign justifying Xwedoda. Better a quick, brutal lesson than a public crisis of faith. He informed the monarch at dawn. Witnesses swore the Shah closed his eyes for a full minute before speaking. When he opened them, he ordered an immediate trial. Trial is a generous word. Azarm faced a tribunal of 7, 3 military judges loyal to her father, 2 priests desperate to protect doctrine, 1 treasury official annoyed at the budget for royal weddings, and an archivist drafted because no one else was available. They read the love poems aloud as evidence. Vahram, wrists bound, refused to deny anything. "A lie helps no one," he said, which in hindsight was a terrible legal strategy. Sentence: death by strangulation for the princess, public beheading for the soldier. Dark humor aside, nothing says eternal love like synchronized execution. Contemporary chronicles argue about motive. Some blame jealous brothers who coveted her influence. Others blame priests safeguarding their theology. One Syrian monk wrote that the Shah wept behind a tapestry while the sentence was carried out, then commissioned 3 new temples to atone. Proof, he claimed, that even kings feared the gods more than gossip. Either way, the result was the same. At sunrise on the spring equinox, Bahram's head struck the sand, and the princess who married her father gasped her last inside the palace stables, far from any altar. Aftermath usually gets skipped in textbook footnotes, but it's where the story turns from tragedy to political grenade. Provincial governors, already queasy about incestuous doctrine, muttered that a king who killed his own wife-daughter for love was courting divine wrath. Within 18 months, rebels in Khuzestan hoisted their own banner. Christian chroniclers crowed that Persia's throne was cursed by its own blood. By the time Arab armies surged across the Zagros, a generation later, imperial unity was a memory historians could barely scrape together. Archaeologists still argue over whether a particular unmarked crypt outside Ctesiphon holds Azarm's remains. The bones are female, roughly 20 years old, buried with a bronze torque engraved with twin lions. Royal, yes, but the coffin lacks inscriptions. One epigrapher claims scorch marks on the lid match a hastily erased name. Another says that's wishful thinking. Tomb robbers were simply careless with torches. Scholars may never agree, which somehow feels fitting for a woman whose official existence was inconvenient from birth. Modern parallel? Families still twist theology, law, or honor to tighten their grip on power. Swap the silk-lined harem for a marble boardroom, the priests for PR consultants, and you can still watch people rewrite morality on the fly, so long as it keeps the crown, literal or corporate, firmly in place. The details shift. The quiet compromises echo straight back to that wedding aisle where a teenage girl married a man who should have been choosing her tutors instead of her bridal jewels. Because history's most unsettling lesson isn't that one princess married her father. It's that an entire society nodded along, right up until she dared love someone they hadn't pre-approved.